What is up, you guys, and welcome back to another video, and I hope everyone have an awesome day. And if you want to, like, comment, subscribe, all the great stuff. We are back with the Wansee Entertainment compilation of July 2020. This is 2020 compilation of Wansee Entertainment. This is an hour, so we're gonna probably like do 3 parts, 2 parts, I don't know. So let's do it. I helped my uncle serious crime, and now I regret about it.
It was 15 years ago. When I was 11 years old, I used to live with my uncle, who was 31 years old at the time. He took me away from my family, telling them how great I would be if I stayed with him in his farmhouse.
Oh.
He actually had a really nice farmhouse. However, that was totally fake.
Oh.
He also had a big van that he used to kidnap kids in.
What?
He usually abducted lost kids, or the kids who were playing in the parks. Yeah, right. He was such a serious kidnapper and murderer. While he was tying up the children after the kidnapping.
Wait. You mean to tell me his mom or dad has a brother who does this thing, and what? Are you serious? You gotta be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. I'm still trying to figure out how Sway. Like, I never heard this before. Oh yeah, my uncle, he had a white van and he kidnapped children. What?
He ordered me to dig a hole for each one. Of course, I didn't want to do that. I was just horrified and scared of my uncle.
You look crazy.
One day, I stayed with the kids inside the basement to monitor them. Crying, they were begging to let them go. I could see that some of the kids were almost the same age as my age, so I untied them and let them sneak out by the back door so my uncle couldn't see them. He was in the kitchen, sharpening his knives. I returned to the kitchen, acting like nothing happened, but somehow, when he lifted his head, he noticed through the window that they were running away. He got mad, grabbed his gun, and then he ran out the door, trying to shoot them.
No.
I immediately ran with him, watching them, and hoping that they could manage it. And all the kids succeeded to run away. Fortunately,
he gonna get you too, boy.
I could see that one of them even waved to me to say goodbye. My uncle told me not to worry, and that he'd get more kids the next morning. It seemed like that he was thinking that I was the one who was disappointed about the kids' escape, or whatever.
Fake.
The next morning, I woke up and figured out that he was not there. And all of a sudden, I heard a loud siren, and soon after, the police entered inside the farmhouse. They found me and asked me if I was one of those kids who was kidnapped by him. I couldn't lie to him. I always felt sorry for lots of kids who got kidnapped by him. So I told them that I was his nephew, and they took me with them for questioning. I was crying so badly when I confessed the truth about him to the police. It was the hardest moment that I had to give proof of my uncle's serious crime, because I loved him anyway, whether he's a criminal or not. But I knew this day would come, and actually, I was waiting for it. They didn't believe me at first, but I revealed the location of the holes to them. After digging, the police found bodies under the ground.
Oh my God.
At that time, my uncle got back to my mother's house, hugged her, and begged to stay for a while. However, the police had already told her about the incident.
What?
And what had happened to me. So she told him he could stay, but as soon as he got to the bathroom to shower,
are you serious?
She alerted Dad, and they called the police. My uncle was arrested finally, and the police thanked me and told me that I was such a brave kid. They brought me back to my parents, and I could have a better life with them.
He's stupid, because why would he run?
My uncle was charged with kidnapping, murdering kids, and even showing me such terrible things that kids should not see. He was condemned to death, and not long after, finally hanged.
They do not in jail. They elected sheriff, but I don't know who to do that.
My name is Jonathan. I live in an average apartment. There are main roads via my apartment, but there's also a shortcut too, which makes it faster to go to one of my friends, Nick's house. However, the weird thing was that nobody uses the road. I didn't know until I saw something on it that very day. One day, I went to visit Nick as usual. We played some kinds of games together in his house, having snacks. The outside had become dark, and when I looked at the time, it was almost 10 p.m.
Oh.
Then my mom called me to get back home as soon as possible. She seemed like she got mad, so I packed my stuff quickly. I got out of my friend's house, walked for like 2 minutes, and then I decided to walk through that shortcut lane this time. Because it was completely dark, it gave me a chill, but I was in a rush, so I lighted my phone's flash and walked through the road. It was a straight road, and all the leaves and bushes were on the two sides. And the next moment became the most terrible memory for my entire life. While I was walking alone, my phone's battery suddenly died.
Uh-oh.
Holy crap, I mumbled to myself. But at that moment, I was so freaked out. I made my pace quicker when I heard someone's footsteps. When I looked up, there was a figure in front of me that was almost black and invisible. All lampposts in that road were broken except 2 of them. But those 2 lampposts were flickering continuously, and the figure was slowly walking closer to my side.
Ooh, leave me alone.
When the light fell on his face, I could see him, full of scars on his face. He had a cut in his throat, and the blood is falling out of his cut.
Oh my God.
I tried to ask him if he needed any help, but then
Tried to kill
he put his hand on top of his head slowly, and he picked it up. I could see his head was dividing from his body.
And
He was
collapsed.
just standing there, holding his head in one hand and looking straight into my eyes.
Somebody pranking you.
I couldn't even move because I was so terrified at that moment. All of a sudden, his head was laughing loudly and gave a shriek loudly at the very next. I stepped back, and then he came in front of me again with big strides. This time, I could see those 2 lampposts which were flickering above him all went out.
You gotta be dreaming.
And I don't remember anything after that.
That was a
The
dream.
next morning when I woke up, I was in a hospital. It turned out that some guy who was jogging around found me unconscious on that road. My mother was sitting next to me with an anxious look, so I told her my entire experience. When I finished telling her, she seemed a little surprised, and then she patted my back. She told me that there was a man who was murdered and beheaded by some gang members on that road a few years ago, but the police could neither find his head nor the criminal.
Wow.
Since then, lots of people saw the same stuff as me, so they stopped using that road.
That is so
Even
crazy.
now, whenever I go to my home, I still ignore that frightening road and take another long path. It would always make my heart sink, just thinking about that incident itself. My name is Alan, and this happened a year ago. I was at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport and about to check in, going to Dubai. I was standing in the line to check in when I noticed that someone was staring at me. It was a girl. She seemed like an ordinary girl at first,
Girls
but
are
then
girls. I mean, boys
I
are
noticed
girls.
that her eyes were odd. They were open, very wide.
She got
She was
caught.
smiling at me, but her smile was kind of annoying and crooked. I got creeped out, so after I was finished checking in, I quickly went through immigration and headed to the flight gates. Before going to the gates, I stopped at the restroom, and while I was urinating there, I could hear someone faintly whispering outside. I could tell that it was a girl's voice.
It was the
When I
same
finally
girl.
walked outside, I encountered the same girl who I had met at the check-in line. She was just standing there.
I rebuke you.
But then, I saw scissors in her pocket. I quickly pushed her, ran away, and hid from her for a while. 30 minutes later, I barely arrived at the gate. And
She
guess
was right
who
there.
arrived at the gate? Right, the same girl was there again. She was literally stalking me the whole time. Right then, I was terrified. So when we started boarding, I made sure that I didn't make eye contact with her at all. Fortunately, my seat was apart from hers. So at least I felt a little relieved
What?
during the flight.
Who is
But
that?
this story didn't end there. When I arrived in Dubai, I quickly got out of the airport and headed to the currency exchange counter. While I was exchanging my money, I looked around several times, but there was no sign of her anywhere.
You can't go on
I
a
quickly grabbed my money, but the
airport
moment
with
I
scissors.
turned around, my heart dropped. The same girl whom I'd met at the airport was there. She was staring at me, holding scissors. But this time, she started twitching bizarrely. Her smile became bigger and even scarier, and she was walking toward me, closer and closer. It was almost 2 a.m., and there was nobody else around in that area. I had no choice but to run, so I dashed quickly away and started searching for a taxi to get to the train station. Just then, I realized that the girl started to speed up and chase after me. Luckily, I narrowly found one taxi, and when I got in, it was a sigh of relief. When I glanced out the back window, the girl was standing there and was staring straight into my eyes.
Who is that?
After 2 weeks, I went back to Manila. Of course, I didn't see her anymore after that night. However, the memory of that girl has been haunting me to this day. I haven't been able to forget her face.
This is about a dream I had when I was in middle school. In my dream, I was standing in a huge empty space with other people, and I could see the dim light from afar. In fact, behind us, there were some strange people coming after us. They were chasing after us, walking on all fours, catching and eating people. Each person ran quickly towards the light. I was frightened by those strange beings chasing me from behind, but for some reason I couldn't move my legs to run. However, at one point, I suddenly realized it was a dream and felt at ease. It's a dream. I was standing there, and at that moment, a man in his 30s who was running just stopped next to me. Are you dreaming too? The moment the man spoke to me, I got goosebumps. How could it be possible to meet another person in a dream? While we were standing still looking at each other, the people behind us suddenly attacked us. At that moment, I woke up screaming.
Unpredicted death.
In my whole 26 years of existence, I only have one dream that I vividly remember. It's about a nightmare that I had when I was in the 8th grade. Although I can't remember the whole story, the last moment still gives me a chill to this day. So I was being chased by someone on a mountain along with some other guy in this dream. I could feel how I was gasping for air and the pain on both of my legs. I was about to give up on running. However, all of a sudden, the man suddenly grabbed my shoulder and told me to run away and live. Furthermore, he already knew my name. That was the weirdest moment. As soon as he finished what he was saying, the man who was chasing after us appeared from behind and smashed his head in heavily. And that's when I woke up. Being afraid, I noticed that I had been bleeding on both sides of my nose when I woke up. It was about 5 a.m. I woke up my mom and talked about the dream. I know that it was just a dream, but I kept feeling uncomfortable. So I told my family to be careful. To my surprise, I heard that my uncle died the next day. He just died abruptly, even though he wasn't sick at all. At that moment, when I heard that from my dad, I got goosebumps. Well, of course, it's just a coincidence, but who knows?
Creepy eye. That's scary.
This story is about the creepiest dream I've ever had. In my dream, I was in middle school and inside of a classroom. All of a sudden, I noticed that my classmates were rambling on. They said that demons had invaded our school and that they could change into humans. Like monsters from one of those Korean horror movies. Some of my friends were gathering around each other, putting their heads together to come up with a plan. They wanted to figure out a way to exorcise the demons. All the doors were locked. I was standing in the classroom with an anxious look on my face. However, the moment they suddenly knocked was the moment I realized that I was dreaming. Hey, isn't this a dream? It's just a dream. When I asked them while laughing, they all turned around and looked at me with empty eyes. And then I couldn't believe what I heard. You might be, but we are not. That was the last memory.
Oh no, oh, that's gonna be stop right here and continue on part 2 another day. Wow, who would have knew you can? I think I heard a story like this before, where you dream of something traumatic, then end up happening. That's crazy. Dream visions. That's crazy. And I'm still thinking, well, my uncle is kidnapping innocent children. And for him to go to the mother's house, I mean, his sister's house where your nephew lives, it just, and they hang people. I don't know if they did all that, but that's crazy. So thank you guys again for this video. Have the most awesome day. And like I always say, share life, do what you want, and do it positively. Peace.